All right, everybody, what's going on, man? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show where we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells, and it's football week, man. We are officially getting ready for week one. I decided to break this preview up into two parts because there's like 10 games on the schedule. So there's a couple Thursday games, and of course, there's the big game on Sunday. So I decided to break it up 5 and 5. Some games we're gonna spend a little bit more time on. Some we're not gonna spend as much time on because they deserve a little shine, but some games just deserve a little more. So I decided to break it up, and we're just gonna have 5 games in this preview, 5 games next preview, which will drop on Friday, and then we'll be ready for football, man. So not a lot to say before we get started. Check out the socials. Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Check those out at your leisure. Like them, follow them, whatever the case is. If you haven't done so already, man, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the channel? We are on the march to 1K. Right now, we're over 700. So we're making our way there. If you have subscribed, man, why don't you tell somebody else to subscribe too, so they can be a part of this show, and hit that notification bell and share the videos, like them, comment. Let me know what you think about week one. The games that we're gonna cover today, just to let you know, we're gonna cover the 2 Thursday night games, which are Alabama A&M and UAB. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff, and Valley at Tarleton State, which is also a 7 p.m. kickoff. Then the Saturday games. Bethune Cookman at Miami, and Miles at Alabama State. The Bethune Cookman Miami game is a 2:30 kickoff. Alabama State Miles is 4 o'clock, and then our feature game for this episode is the Labor Day Classic, Texas Southern and Prairie View. That game kicks off at 6 p.m. So those are the games that we're going to talk about on this show today. So, man, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with the first game of the year for the SWAC in week one, and that's Alabama A&M at UAB. This game, is gonna probably be an offensive game. UAB returns, they return 21 starters between the offense, defense, and special teams. They are a very explosive team. They have a great 1-2 punch at running back. So they're gonna run the ball. The passing game is solid. Although their top receiver went into the portal. I hadn't heard if he left or not, but that's a key thing. His name is Trey Shropshire, and he had 26 catches and 702 yards with 7 touchdowns. But they return guys like Hayden Pittman, who has 22 catches. Rajay Johnson, he left and went to Troy, but they also bring in Ryan Sanders and a bunch of other guys to help out with the passing game. Dylan Hopkins is the main quarterback after completing 66% of his passes for 2,275 yards. They also got a transfer from Baylor, Jacob Zeno, so he'll probably push for some time, but the running game is where it's at. Dwayne McBride is a 1,300-yard rusher on the season and 13 touchdowns, and then Jermaine Brown ran for 631 yards and 7 touchdowns. So the running game is pretty much where it's at. The offensive line is still solid. Defense, they'll be tough. Last season they were 16th in the nation, allowing 329 yards per game. So they broke up. Sterling Thomas, who is probably one of the top guys. He broke up 14 passes with 4 interceptions, along with Keandre Swoops in the secondary. So this is a team that's gonna be tough. They lose their leading sack guys in Alex Wright, the wrestler, and Justin Thomas, but they return Kyle Harrell. He had 5.5 tackles for loss. Leading tackler Noah Wilder is back after making 93 stops on the season. So this team is experienced. The defensive front is solid. So this is an experienced team. They did lose their head coach, Bill Clark, who had been a long time guy there. But I don't expect too much of a drop off. Brian Vincent is the offensive coordinator. He's stepping into the head coaching role. So I don't expect any drop off from this team. So this is going to be a tough task for Alabama A&M team that is going to be breaking in a new starting quarterback, whether that's Quincy Casey or Xavier Langford. Those are the two guys I feel like are in the mix now. Somebody else may have stepped up in that time, but those are the two guys I look at. But they have weapons. They have Abdul Ibrahim, a wide receiver, along with Brian Jenkins Jr. And wide receiver Gary Quarles, who is one of the top backs in the conference, and Kendrick Johnson, who is a very good tight end for them. The offense is going to be solid. The defense is where, obviously where your questions come in at. They really could not make a lot of stops last season, and the defense ranked really low in conference in all statistics. So that has to change. They brought in a lot of guys in the portal to take over some of those positions. So we'll see, how they go. This game to me is a game where you just want to come out and see what you have. Get your guy, whoever your starter is, get him them live game reps. Maybe you can do a couple things, but the defense is gonna have to step up to the challenge against a tough offense. So they're gonna be tested right out the gate in this game. So I don't really have a lot of confidence in their defense early like this. So my prediction for this game is gonna be UAB 42, Alabama A&M 17. I think they do have the offense to score a few points. I just don't see the defense making enough stops or making stops yet. I'll have to see that defense in action to alleviate some of the concerns I have about them. So unfortunately, I can't. I'm rooting for the Bulldogs. I'm rooting for all SWAC teams in non-conference, but I just don't see this one going their way. So that's gonna we'll see if they can bounce back after this game. Hopefully they can get a good showing and then move on to their next opponent. The next game that we're going to talk about is Mississippi Valley heads to Texas to take on Tarleton State in Stephenville, Texas. That's also a 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday night. Tarleton State's in the WAC. They are a team that went 6-5 this past season. So they're a solid team. They also had a pretty solid record. Like I said, they were 6-5. They're a team that you can count on to be a very good offensive team. I expect them to continue to do what they do best, which is I'm having all kind of problems. Y'all bear with me for 1 second. I get my get my thing straight. Gotta fix my banners. It's early season, man. I'm not in mid-season form yet, so y'all gotta bear with me as we make our way through these previews. Like I said, Tarleton State's a team who was a very explosive offensive team last season. Numbers wise, they 33, almost 33 and a half points per game last season and over 425 yards of offense. So they are a team who can really do great offensively. You expect to see that happen again. They have a solid quarterback coming back, Stephen Duncan, who finished last season with 2,500 yards and 19 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. But they also brought in a guy from Kentucky, Bo Allen, who was a 4-star recruit. So there's going to be maybe there's a quarterback battle. Maybe there's not. But, they appear to be in good hands in those games. I mean, in the position. So they also brought in a transfer running back from Washington State, Marshawn Buchanan. So you can expect to probably see him to get in the mix. Defensively, two names to look out for this team is the main name to look out for this team is Javier Duran. He's a big time defensive lineman for them, as well as Michael Irons at cornerback. Those are two guys to kind of look out for. They are potential NFL draft prospects, so you want to kind of keep an eye out on them if you're Valley. You want to know where those two guys are at all times. Speaking of Valley, it starts and ends. The offense starts and ends with Caleb Johnson. If he can get going, then that allows the offense to really flourish. You really don't want to have this team be one dimensional and have to throw the ball. Although they have some, they brought in a lot of receivers and they return a guy like Ja'Cory Rankin at wide receiver. The quarterback, to me, I haven't heard if they've named a starter yet, but Jelani Eason is a guy who was a long time starter. Um, they also brought in a junior college quarterback. So, they can, they have some guys who can make some things happen with their legs as well. The passing game is going to be key in those, third down situations. You want to kind of be able to make those plays on third down or, any other situation to keep them from keying in on the run game. But this all starts and ends with Caleb Johnson. Defensively, Ronnie Thomas is the bell cow on that defensive line. I think Valley's going to be aggressive this season. I think Valley's going to be much improved, but I think early in the season, it's going to take them a little while to get going. And this is a tough first game. This is a tough road atmosphere. It's Thursday night. It's kind of a tough place to get started. I think Valley has a chance. I think they will be in this game. I think that if they can, overcome those early season road jitters that they tend to get early, in these early non-conference games, they can overcome that, then I think they have a good shot at this game. But I think Tarleton State's offense is a bit more explosive than Valley, and they're going to probably jump on Valley early. Valley's going to fight and stay in it, but I think Tarleton State get the win in this one by a score of 31-21. If Valley can get some stops, I think they may be able to find themselves in this game if they can, win the field position battle and don't turn the ball over. So I see this being a game that can go deep into the game, being a tight game. Maybe a late touchdown seals it for the Texans. But right now, I do think Valley has a good shot at this game if they can play, if they can bring that home intensity on the road with them. That's always going to be a thing for me. Valley is really tough at home. They are not as tough on the road. They don't have that mystique on the road. Even though they don't win a lot of games at home, they just have a tougher mentality. Like they said, every dog is tough in their own yard. So they're going to be tough at home, but they need to translate that on the road. That's what's going to make them be a better team. They did win 2 road games last season, so that helps a lot. So hopefully, they can continue to build on that. And maybe, they find themselves in a position where they can pull out the victory in this game. So I don't think it's a landslide loss for them, but I think they'll drop this one late, although I would love to be proven wrong. So let's move on to our next game, which is also be the Labor Day Classic in Alabama. The Miles Golden Bears take on the Alabama State Hornets. Alabama State comes into this game off of a big victory against Howard in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So the key for Coach Robinson and his staff is to make sure that this team is, they're focused on this game. They put that victory behind them. That was a big game. They put that behind them and they get ready for a Miles team that gave them all they could handle last season. So to me, the key to this game is Alabama State continuing to develop Demetrius Davis at quarterback. Like I said, I think he's a guy who can get by early in the season, with his athleticism. He can run around and make some things happen, but he's going to have to be a consistent and solid passer as the season goes on and the defenses start to key in on him more because they know what he can do and they're not going to let him just run free. So a game like this, I think he can take advantage of, those mismatches. The running game, they got a 3-game monster at running back. So they should be able to run the ball fairly well. And the receivers, Scott, Chenault, Hickson, those guys can really step up and make some plays. Defensively, Ershaw Davis. It was good to see Bubba Adams. I don't know why. It's good to see Bubba Adams out there, man. That's a guy that gets after it play by play. And, he's been battling injuries, so it was good to see him out there. They have, they've mixed in some new guys And that defense was very, very salty in the Howard game. They never really let Howard get anything consistently going. They did allow them in the red zone a few times, but they held them to field goals. So, they were able to get those stops in key situations. I was impressed with the way Bama State played that game because there were so many delays and everything. They never really let that get them out of what they wanted to do. And I think that can help them. That was a big game for Coach Robinson in his first game to go through that kind of adversity. So I think a lot of things that he will see later in the season, he saw now. So I think they'll be good on that. Miles has a new head coach, Sam Shade. He's a former Alabama football star, local high school coach. So he's taken over. This Miles team last season, they had great running backs and a really good offensive line. The running game is going to take a step back. The offensive line is being viewed as the strength of this team. Quarterback, they have not decided on a quarterback. I think last time I saw they had like 5 guys battling it out for the job, and they never really had an established guy last season either. I think that was one of the things that kind of held them back a bit. But, I think if Alabama State comes into this game and they have the focus and don't rest too much on the laurels from last week and don't look too far ahead to the trip to California to play UCLA, they can take care of business in this game. I think they can win this game with their defense. But having an explosive guy at quarterback really going to open up this offense a lot more than it's been in years past. So I like the Hornets. Obviously, I think they're going to win this game. I think, Miles will be game. I think they're going to be tough early in this game. But I think Alabama State will be able to survive this game by a score of 30-14. I think the Hornets are going to, they're going to take care of business. I like the direction that this team is moving in. I think, a lot of the guys that were on the team last year, they know that Miles came in there and was really a 2-point conversion away from walking out of the stadium with a victory. So I don't think these guys who were around last season are going to let this happen again. So I think they're going to really be focused and really come out and take care of business in this game and move them to 2-0. Because like I said, I felt like the Howard game was the stepping stone for the beginning of the season. How they played that game would dictate how they played this game. So being able to come into this game off of a win and not a loss, I think goes a long way in helping this team grow week in and week out. So, they had some things to clean up after last game, and I think they'll be able to do that to an extent in this game and get the victory and move on to their next opponent. Speaking of Power 5 money games, Miami hosts Bethune-Cookman. Like I said, it's a 2:30 kickoff. Not a lot to really put into this game. Miami, obviously, they have a new head coach, Mario Cristobal, who came from Oregon. He's a Miami guy, so they're glad to have him back at home in Miami. They have a tremendous quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke. He can really throw the ball. The running game has been kind of up and down at times this season, but at times last season. But I think they'll be able to kind of make some things happen in that aspect. They have they brought in a few more transfer guys, but Frank Latson is probably the guy to look out for a wide receiver. He was a Clemson transfer, so you want to kind of look out for that guy. The offensive line is a work in progress. Last season, the offensive line wasn't that good, but they brought in some guys to fill some holes. Defensively, they're going to be aggressive. Kevin Steele runs an aggressive defense, so they're going to definitely try to pressure the quarterback and force turnovers. So you're looking at 6 new guys coming in on that defense, but the defensive line is definitely going to be a work in progress for them as well. But this game really all comes down to Miami. How they approach this game. Bethune-Cookman, I think the offense will be much improved this season. Jalen Jones coming in is going to be a key factor at quarterback for this team. Obviously, Kamari Everett is the best tight end in the league and arguably best tight end in the country. If not number 1, then number 2. He is a great weapon. Corey Reed came over from Jackson State. He's a big guy. a receiver that can be a big target. And the running backs are solid with Bird and Robinson. So I love this offense. The defense is gonna be, a work in progress, because they lost some key guys off of their defense, but they return, Amari Hill Robinson at cornerback, who is a very good guy. The return unit is solid. It's not spectacular. So, they could get an opportunity to score some points in special teams. But, this game is pretty much, it is what it is. Hopefully, again, this team, you can come out and play solid and see where the chips fall. Just give it, your all. But I think Miami's gonna score early and often. I think that passing game is just gonna, really have a good day against Bethune-Cookman's defense. So I'm picking the Hurricanes by a score of 52-10. Although I think, Bethune-Cookman may be able to get some things going if they don't turn the ball over. They can get themselves an opportunity to score a couple of touchdowns, and then just see where it goes from there. But it's all you right, all to you right there. So not a lot to take into account for that game. You're more or less looking for Bethune-Cookman to get ready for their next next game and move on. So our last game of the night, as far as our preview goes, is the Labor Day Classic, which is Texas Southern at Prairie View. Big game, obviously, but for both teams. Prairie View has won. They've won quite a few games in a row in this series. I think it's like 9 straight in this series. So they come in with the edge in that aspect. They have some big holes to fill on their defense this season. They lost 2 key guys to the portal and another guy to graduation. So they have a very solid defense. They return, I believe, 16 total starters between offense and defense. So this is an experienced team. They return a lot of pieces from that championship team, that division championship team last season. So this is not a team that's starting completely over. Obviously, quarterback is going to be the place that a lot of people look at, because they lost Jawan Pass, but they they return a guy like Trazon Conley, who's been in the program for a long time. He's really getting his first real opportunity. I think the spring of 2021, he started, but he didn't really have a lot of game action. So this is his first real test and real opportunity to control the car. But they have Jaden Stewart at running back. He was one of the top guys to carry the ball for the offense last season. He's a guy that can get those yards for them. So that's a key weapon. Jalen Howard at wide receiver, a young guy like Trajan Spiller. They have those weapons on offense. The defensive line is still going to be solid. Losing a guy like Jason Dumas is a huge hole in the middle of your defense, but they still return some guys who can make some plays. Now they're going to have to fill those holes that those guys like Drake Cheatham and Dumas left, along with I can't, my encyclopedia is always up and down, but they lost as well. So they're gonna have to fill those holes with multiple people, most likely, by committee. But they still have a lot of talent on that team. So I think they'll be in great shape. They're gonna get a good challenge from Texas Southern, because obviously Texas Southern returns, if not the top quarterback, then the 1B quarterback, because I don't like to say Shador or Andrew Body are 1 and 2. They're 1A and 1B to me, depending on what you're looking for. But they return a great offense that was number 2 in the conference last season. They return a lot of pieces from that offense. They brought in some guys to help out at receiver. You have a guy like Ladarius Owens at running back, also Ja'Cory Howard. So they have a great backfield. The receiving core is going to be a mix of new and old guys. So that's going to be the key for them, is to be more efficient with the passing game. Andrew Body is the guy that's going to make plays. He's going to make plays with his legs. He's gonna make plays with his arm. Um, his key this season is to be more efficient and more accurate as a passer, and he's been working on that. Reports say that he's getting a lot better with that kind of stuff. So, that's gonna be their key, their advantages, their offense, and having an established quarterback is gonna help you a lot in this game. Defensively, obviously, a lot of people say that TSU's brought in a lot of guys to help. Um, they have guys like D. Anderson on the defensive line, Tariq Cooper at linebacker, who's an all SWAC guy, Isaiah Hamilton in the secondary. They have some guys coming back, and they brought in some transfer guys to also fill in holes. So this defense has to take a step forward this season to if they have any aspirations of challenging for the division. This is a huge game for the SWAC West. The winner is going to be sitting really good. The loser is not out because I feel like the SWAC West winner is going to have at least 2 losses. So you don't really want to start 0-1, but if you do, the season is not over. So there's a lot on the line, but it's not do or die, kind of like the Orange Blossom Classic. To me, it's kind of do or die. This game, it gives you a step up, but you still have a lot of football to play in this division because I think this division is wide open. I'm looking forward to this matchup, man. There's a lot of talking back and forth from both sides. I think the energy is going to be great. I expect a great crowd in Prairie View for this game. TSU feels like this the year that they're going to break the streak, and they coming with a lot of smoke for Prairie View, man. They confident, the Tigers. I haven't seen this team this confident coming into a season in a long time. Coach McKinney's done a great job of building this program, going winless and, starting to pick up some wins last season and playing with a young team, man. This is a very young team still. And so they're going to be growing throughout the season. This is a key test for them early to see how they can do. Coach McDowell is taking over at Prairie View, and it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this first game as a head coach, and it's a rivalry game at that. That's a challenge. Can he, keep his emotions in check? Can he make the proper decisions and allow the offense to flourish and the defense to do what they do? So I'm really excited for this game. This is probably my second game of the week. Obviously, the Orange Blossom Classic is the game of the week, but this is my second game of the week. And I've been excited for this game because, like I said, so much talking back and forth has been going on. And the energy is just great for this game. And I haven't seen the energy this high for this game in a long, long time. So with all that being said, man, I went back and forth on my pick. One day I went Prairie View, one day I went TSU. And I went back and forth. And finally, I just was like, man, I'm just going to roll with it. I'm picking Texas Southern in this game, man. I don't know. I can't call it an upset. Because I think these two teams are more evenly matched than a lot of people think. Obviously, the Texas Southern defense is going to be the wild card in this game. But I think that the offense will be capable enough to take care of business, and the defense will get some timely stops. And the Tigers will beat the Panthers by a score of 28-24. This game could go either way. But I'm going with TSU in this one and see how they move on throughout the rest of the season. So very big game here. I'm excited for it. And I can't wait to see the result because, like I said, there's been so much smoke being thrown back and forth between both teams that, you really just want to see how it turns out. So that's going to do it for part one of this week one preview. Part two will drop on Friday, and we'll cover the rest of the week one games. Which, in case you aren't aware, week one games that are remaining are Grambling at Arkansas State, Alcorn hosts Stephen F. Austin, Southern plays Florida Memorial, and the Orange Blossom Classic between FAMU and Jackson State. So. Oh, also Lane at UAPB. I forgot about that game. So 5 games left to preview, and we'll do those. That'll drop on Friday. So make sure you check that out. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, we got SWAC Smoke tomorrow, live at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk about all the week 1 games, and we'll talk about the MEX SWAC Challenge and see DJ get his smile on because his Hornets won a big game. So tune in tomorrow and catch that. And then make sure you catch that part 2 of the week 1 preview on Friday. Sunday, we'll recap all the Thursday and Saturday games. And then Monday, we'll recap the Orange Blossom Classic. So full week of SWAC talk. It's football season, baby. Get excited, man. Hey, somebody come over here and give me a chest bump, man. I'm hyped. So with that being said, I'm C Wells. I'm signing out. Y'all have a good rest of your week. If you're going to a game, please be careful. Please be safe out there. And we'll catch you guys for our next episode of SWAC Smoke and SWAC Talk. Hey, that's all I got. Peace.